This episode of Co-op is brought to you by Nokia, Air Force H2, and Squarespace.
God, dude. Who honestly gets here like hours early? Not us. Yeah. Son of a bitch. There's a lot of people here. Yeah, there are. Oh my God.
It is really. No, I have not had sex with an elf yet. Actually, no, I did have sex with an elf, but I haven't had sex.
Matt, I'm so glad you're here. Oh man, that's lovely. Can you buy my game for me?
No.
Why not?
Because I've been waiting here for like the last 3 hours, and you show up 2 minutes before we're supposed to go in. Where were you guys? What were you even doing?
We were at a bar. We didn't know what time it was, all right?
A bar. Yeah. Go. Go.
Fine, let's go.
Go. You leave those guys?
The thing I like about you most is you'd run away with me. So pack your bags and your shotgun too. We might run into zombies. We're always down for that co-op multiplayer action. We're always down. We're so down. We're so down. We're so down for co-op. We're so down for that co-op action.
Nothing like a brush with death to make you not like death much.
So I guess I should say right off that the reason why I sound like a darkspawn is because I'm just getting over a case of a cold with laryngitis. I got my mug of archdemon blood here. So anyway, that explains all that.
So you're becoming a Grey Warden now.
I am. And, yeah.
Spoilers. Nerdiest intro ever.
But that's just it. I mean, there's so many ways that you can start this game that might as well be one.
My game started as like Braveheart.
Yeah.
Because I was a city elf, which are like, you know, lower class citizens, and so there's a ghetto they live in, and one of the nobles from Ferelden comes and says, yeah, I don't care if you're getting married tonight. I'm taking your wife back to my place for a little bit of fun, and you have to bust in there and take him down. And then after that, the game just turns into Lord of the Rings for the next, 90 hours, but it's cool.
And that's the thing about this game, is that it seems to have this generic storyline. Like, it's definitely part Wheel of Time, it's part Lord of the Rings.
Don't forget a Song of Ice and Fire. That's where it takes most of its inspiration from.
And so, like, when you're looking at the overall storyline, I am thinking to myself, okay, this is the most generic thing ever. But it's when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, and when you're actually playing the game, that it comes into its own. And I really enjoy world diving in games, and this game does that to me almost better than any other game I've played since Baldur's Gate or since Planescape Torment.
Exactly. You really feel like you're part of the world. You feel like you're of the world. And I think the thing that really sets that up are the origin stories.
Yep. And I chose a Dalish elf because I just like the idea of, in this world, the elves are the underclass, I wanted to see
why
how
I
that
picked
played
one
out
as well.
Yeah. What did you do? City Elf or Daily Shelf?
I did Dale Shelf, but I was a mage. So.
Oh, so you went into the tower.
I went to the
mage
tower,
beginning.
where even though the elves are the underclass in the mage tower, everyone's an underclass.
Right.
If you're not a Templar.
Yeah, and I've played a couple of them now. When we got our PS3 version kind of early, and I just jumped into the mage origin story and played all through that one, and then handed it off to Ryan. And then when I played my actual 80-hour epic game playthrough, I played as a Dalish rogue, and then earlier today, when I'd finally beaten the game, I just started a human noble origin story just to see what that was like.
I did that one.
You did that one?
That's what I started also after I finished.
The City Elf origin story. I mean, you kind of got into it already, but that's pretty shocking. Like, there's gang rape and like.
Mass murder. I mean, I went in there with 2 or 3 other guys and basically destroyed the entire house of the noble who did this, like, while it was going on.
If you play multiple origin stories, you sort of get like a cross-section of different things that have happened in the world, and later on it's like, I recognize that guy from the end of the game, and here he is in this origin story, and I never saw him before. Now it explains why he was there, and like fills it all in.
One of the most interesting parts in the game to me was the tower, the mage tower, the Tower of the Magi, and how
After you go back.
Right, breaking in there is one thing, but then being thrust into the Fade to kind of take care of a demon was really interesting and totally different. You don't get to travel with a party anymore; you do it alone, and you
do all this shape-changing stuff,
which makes it feel like cool puzzle solving.
Yeah, it's all inherent to the puzzle solving of that, which was very fun and very interesting, and you really actually had to think about some of the puzzles too.
This is when I switched the game to casual at some point, just to get past a few areas that were really tough, and because I was playing as a warrior, and I think if I had decided to do it again, I would probably play a mage or a rogue, just because I just found the combat to be relatively straightforward, and then once I started to get other characters, Morgan and Win, in my party, it was just so much more fun to switch to them and use their abilities than it was to play my own.
I think one reason why the soldier might not be as fun to play up front is because the specializations that you get later on add a whole lot of depth and customization to these characters that you don't get in the beginning. The rogue, the mage, and the warrior each have 4 possible specializations that you can get, and each of those have their own 4-tier power set that you can do. By the end of the game, I had Alistair as both a champion and a Templar. So he was basically the group rallier and the anti-magic dude, and he was super effective, way more effective than he had been up until that point.
Yeah, the warriors, you can pretty much sort of set up their tactics and kind of send them in and forget about them.
The thing about the combat tactics slots is once I got in and I started customizing it, there's an awful lot you can do. Basically, you are in control of the AI of your party
you're
members.
a programmer for your party.
But I was micromanaging the mage like 85% of the time. There's so many interesting things you can do, and then like crucial stuff like crowd control. And
I was actually at first really turned off by the combat being a warrior, where I felt like everything was really simple, and then just being able to flat out compare it 1-to-1 to KOTOR, where it was just easier to pause the action, not that you can't do that easily in this game, but pause the action, switch to a character, queue up several attacks, so that you could basically let it run on autopilot. In this game, it wasn't till I started delving into the combat tactics that I began to think, okay, well, now this is getting interesting. It's not just the poor man's version of KOTOR, it's like a different game, a different combat system altogether.
But I don't know why you can't queue commands. You can only queue one command.
Playing both versions, I only played about 8 hours of the console,
and
it was cumbersome.
Oh, yeah.
I can't, and I don't know if people feel it was cumbersome if they hadn't played the PC version, but coming from the PC version, I found it almost unplayable.
That's the thing, is like the radio menus usually seem like a great thing to do in console games, but in this game, every time I had to turn that menu on, I felt like I just wasn't having fun.
I only played through an origin story on the PS3 version, but everything is just easier to do on the PC interface.
Or the top-down.
The tactical combat is really cool.
Especially your large area effect spells. And I was very leery of the treatment of magic in this game, but I felt more powerful as a mage in this game than I had in any game before.
And there's some really cool synergies between characters where, especially if you have, well, I mean, the way I played, I had Ice Spect Mage, and you could freeze guys with like this cone of cold thing, and then your rogue or your DPS warrior would have some like crit on demand spells, and if you crit a guy who's frozen, he just shatters.
Nice.
My post-game save that it does for you after you finish the credits said 79 hours. It probably would have been longer because I have all of the DLC, but I downloaded Warden's Keep, paid $7, and it doesn't work. The icon doesn't show up on my map. I can't go to it. I can't make it happen. So
yeah, that guy is still in your camp, telling you, I'm sure, to come check it out. Right?
No, actually, the guy that was in my camp, I talked to him. He said, "All right, I'll meet you there," and he left. I can't meet him anywhere. So I gotta say, like, if you're gonna make people pay for DLC, that had better fucking work.
What's most disappointing about this is, especially with the PC version, this game was supposed to come out in spring.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, okay, we just got a little bit of tuning to do it, but it's essentially done. We're just gonna hold it for the console versions. So there's no excuse for anything on the PC not to work.
Right.
I would agree. And it's a shame because the rest of the game is the most bug-free PC RPG that I've ever played.
I would agree with that. I had one issue of stuttering, and I had this one point where Ogren was wearing a helmet and didn't show up in the right moment. And
that could be a good thing. So
and then
the
it comes.
are dumb.
Yeah.
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
I've heard a lot of people say, like, I don't like the graphics in this game, That's just a common sort of thing, although they're probably not playing on PC where it does look really, really, really good. I think it still looks good, especially the character models look great, even on console. It's because of the scope of it all. I mean, it's very clear when you go through this, like, there's so much more content in this game than there is in Mass Effect, for example.
I feel like that the game actually does measure up to Mass Effect, but it's inconsistent. There will be times where I'm in the game and I'm like, this looks like a slightly better version of Neverwinter Nights 2. And there are other times where I'm in the game and I'm like, this is fucking epic. Yep. Like when I'm walking around in Orzammar and which is the main dwarven city, and looking up at all this fantastic architecture, or when I'm in like
when you're down in the deep roads, correct?
When you're down in the deep roads is incredible. There was this part where I walked into this giant cathedral and I'm like, I'm gonna look up. Wow, that ceiling is way up there.
Is that the Temple of Andraste?
Yeah.
That looks amazing too.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk about your mother.
Well, there's nothing to talk about. And besides, isn't your mother a scary witch who lives in the middle of a forest? Much more interesting.
To you, perhaps. You would find the moss growing upon a stone interesting.
All of the voice dialogue, all of the voice acting is super 100% top-notch BioWare.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like, and the banter, like when you're wandering around the towns and like, depending on the party members that you have together, they say things to each other. And
Pardon?
Oh, I'd give you a roll. Why not?
A roll?
Aye, anytime. Preferably in the dark.
I suppose I should be flattered.
You always want to have Morgan in the party because she's constantly needling almost everybody.
And it made me really happy to go back to my camp all the time.
Yeah.
And there's also a merchant in the camp, thank God, because like you're always out of inventory space and you have to sell a lot of crap.
See, I never had this wasn't not much of a problem
I
for
was
me.
out of inventory space. Did you craft stuff?
I put crafts into all my items.
So and then I had a whole bunch of crafting materials that eventually I just sold off, because I think when you're in the camp, you should be able to use anybody's crafting skills to craft any of the items.
Yeah, totally.
We talked a little bit about camp, but we haven't talked about sex yet, which is an interesting part of the game.
Which is rampant in this game.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about how effective it is. I do appreciate that BioWare is like the only company I can think of that is constantly trying to address sex in games and like slowly taking these kind of baby steps forward towards something a little more interesting. I think this is the first game, definitely the first BioWare game, when you could have like a male homosexual relationship with another character. What would you guys say is your favorite moment in Dragon Age so far?
Well, for me, it was the Landsmeet. And I thought that was an incredible sequence. It's driven, exclusively here by dialogue, by what you've done, your ability to relate to the other characters, and it's a great moment of storytelling.
Yeah, in the Landsmeet, you have to make tough choices there.
You do.
Like you can very easily end up losing one or maybe more party members. You could be imprisoning some poor lady in a tower for the rest of her life.
You're going to run into your origin story later on in the game. They did a really excellent job with that, and it really makes me curious what kind of DLC they're going to have, because they said they're planning for 2 years of DLC for Dragon Age.
Wow.
I played every night for like 3 or 4 weeks, and it was just, it was a great experience. I stopped playing WoW cold turkey. I didn't miss it. Dragon Age all the way, and I loved it.
Yep.
And my favorite part was probably the first dragon that I faced, which was just an epic fight, and it takes a long time. I don't know, it was like 10 minutes, maybe longer, and by the time the dragon was about to a quarter health, I only had one party member left. It was Mage, Morgan. He was like tanked him down the whole rest of the way, and he finally died. It was like,
kind of cold. Yes.
That's great.
I can't believe you actually got through that with a mage. That's the kind of thing you can do with this game, and everybody's going to defeat that dragon in a different way. Everybody's going to have a different story, and it's going to be just as intense for everybody who plays this game. This really is one of the best RPGs I've ever played.
Agreed.
Can't you read internet? Do not unplug. You're never supposed to take that out. I was.
Whoa, just chill, baby. Chill. I got you covered, baby. I got you covered. You can use my laptop, sweet cheeks.
How is this gonna help me? I have a perfectly good laptop with twice the screen size.
You gotta relax. It's got 3 Gs, baby.
3G internet access?
Yeah, 3 Gs. Online all the time, just like me.
Unibody construction.
Ooh,
Windows 7. This thing's actually pretty sweet.
Just be sure to plug it in after 12 hours.
12-hour battery life.
That's right, 12-hour battery life.
Pretty sweet. All right, I might just give this a shot. And if you have any of that margarita mix left, kick some down.
Yeah, right.
When did you guys get here?
bro.
I got about 10 o'clock? Oh, that's not too bad. When did you guys get here?
10:30 or so.
Okay.
I'm not buying Call of Duty. I'm just waiting in line with a friend of mine to keep him company. We've been here since like 6:30.
What have you guys been doing to pass the time?
We've been talking and networking, talking about games, about Call of Duty.
Nice.
He's been talking about Borderlands.
It is a great game. It's better than Call of Duty.
This is the pre-order bonus at GameStop. It's a
Hyper
full
Prestige Edition.
How did you get here? Like, did you wear this here?
Yeah, I wore on the bus. Scare some homeless people.
Are you gonna play the game with this on?
Yeah, with the night vision goggles on as well.
Nice. What version are you getting?
Just the regular.
Just the regular.
I'm
Did
a
you
college
reserve
student.
just
I got prestige mode.
You're getting prestige. Nice. What are you gonna do with the goggles?
I don't know. To wear them everywhere, I guess. It's every little kid's dream, right? Night vision goggles.
Have your own. Prestige Edition has the night vision goggles for Call of Duty 5 or Modern Warfare 3. What would they need? What do they need to put in it to be better than the night vision goggles?
Just give us a real gun.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I think a gun license.
I just say a gun.
Alive.
I mean, that's what like the parents are afraid of, right?
Yeah.
Let's fucking prove them wrong. I got a gun and I play the game. I don't need to shoot anybody.
Right?
You're looking at it right now. Every person should have a ghillie suit in their closet.
Infinity Ward should be looking at this. Like, you could probably pack that up real tight in a box really easily, and it kind of.
I have one question.
Yeah.
In this, how do you shit?
How do I shit?
Yes.
hey, if you're in the zone, you have to stay in character.
Snipers don't take bathroom breaks.
That'd be awesome.
Well, awesome. Steve, thank you for your time. Thank you for showing us. And
Thanks for coming out.
yeah, man, good luck in line. Enjoy the game.
For me, turntablism is pretty cool. I have turntables at home. I practice scratching. So when I saw the idea of having DJ Hero being able to like turn a beat match and scratch, I was like, yeah, this is going to be cool. I do like rhythm games. I do like Beatmania games. So combine them two, it should be a perfect equation.
Hi, my name is H to the Izzo. What? My name is V to the Izzy. My name is H to the Izzo. Check this out. The anthem. Get your hands up. H to the Izzo. V to the.
This game doesn't really, I think, emulate what like real DJing is like.
Well, it definitely doesn't have any like actual mixing in it. It's definitely like playing buttons to the music. It does have a few things like a rewind, it has like scratching, it has fast crossfading, things like that make it kind of like DJing, but I would definitely say that this is the least of any other music game.
Like in Rock Band, when you play the drums, it's a little bit more of the sense of what like playing the drums is like.
Drums is really easy to simulate. All you're doing is hitting something. For turntables, it's a very complex movement. So you have your fader, you have a platter. You're supposed to spin the platter at specific intervals, and also you have these 3 buttons on the platter. All that is an equation of just really hard learning curve. When I first played it, I was just overwhelmed by the amount of actions and the amount of skills that you have to learn.
Plotting and kicking, will I survive, will I die? I'm living rough and raw. Fans is watching. Plotting and kicking, will I survive, will I die? I'm living rough, fans is watching. Plotting and kicking, will I survive, will I die? Fans is watching. Plotting and kicking, will I survive, will I die? Fans is watching. Plotting and kicking, will I survive, will I die? I'm living rough and raw, catching cases at a fast rate, bowling in the fast lane.
I think they did a pretty good job with what they had, though I feel that I do have certain qualms with the controller.
The hardware itself, for such expensive equipment, should be redesigned. One of the main problems is the fader. The fader has 3 positions, one in the middle, and one on the left, and one on the right. The problem is the amount of space between the left and the right and the center. So by restricting the left and right with gaffer's tape, you just have just a little bit of flexibility, which is good enough, just to switch the channels. And that's another testament that you have to overcome your micromanaging. With fader control, it has lots of different muscles in your hands. You just have to move it a little bit to the left, move it to the right. If you move it all the way, then
you lose the song.
You lose the song.
Right. To DJ Hero's credit, it does implement a no-fail system, which means you can't fail on the song, no matter how hard you suck. The no-fail kind of spurs a forward progression. So you keep playing the song over and over again. If you think it's too hard, you can... you can change the difficulty.
Oh, not only can you change the difficulty in the song, you can actually, or at least mid-set, what you can do is you can actually skip certain songs in a set. You're playing and Jason's like, man, I've played this song 60 times. I just want to play the next song. And like, he paused it and he found out there's a skip song, option.
As long as you get all the stars, then you're able to get on to the next set.
That spaceship. When I step inside the room, them girls go 8-ish. Y'all stuck on super 8-ish. That lo-fi stupid 8-ish. I'm on that HD black. This beat go boom, boom, pap, pap, boom.
That's one of the cool things about this game. It's the different difficulties and how it's comprised. Hard implements have scratching. You're supposed to scratch on like the rhythm. And then expert implements directional scratches. For example, there's arrows indicating forward scratches or back scratches. And you combine the two into different movements. Quick crossfades and quick scratches. It does simulate baby scratches, forward scratches, and backward scratches in turntablism. However, I don't really get the sense of doing like techniques like flares or even transforms. Your favorite like goes. But DJ Hero isn't. I guess it wasn't mainly a scratching game.
Right.
It was mainly you mix two different beats, which you really don't do.
Yeah.
And you combine the two into a mashup.
Right. And that's the whole thing, is the whole game is mashups, right? So they have...
Except for one song.
Which song?
Which is my favorite, Scratch Perverts.
The other thing about this game that I really like is the art. I love the characters, like all the different DJs that they have on there.
It kind of reminds me of like the Rock Band style.
It is very Rock Band style, but they also kind of think their own twist, you know? You could be like a luchador or any DJs like DJ Jazzy Jeff and Daft Punk. But what I like to do is, because you can choose your own samples that you want for the middle red button.
Fresh. Go, DJ.
And I would take all the space sounds and have it with him. And,
what about the Flavor Flav ones?
Well, the Flavor Flav ones are awesome too.
DJ Hero itself allows you to actually ruin the song too, where if you get like a ton of Flavor Flav samples and it has a whole section where you're supposed to improvise.
It's kind of like the drums in Rock Band where you have the fill.
Check this out, check this out, check this out. Get it on, get it on. Here we go, here we go, here we go again.
Sometimes during the track, you're supposed to press those buttons as fast as you can to get more points.
So did you play much online,
No,
like versus people or anything?
I didn't play much online.
You both play the exact same songs on the exact same difficulty at the exact same time, and you see stars line up next to each other, you know, and how good you did against the other opponent. So I kind of wish there was a little more to the multiplayer, you know, in terms of like messing the other player up or collaborating and then separating again, you know, something like that. Okay, so you can't play every set list with guitars, right? It has like a specific guitar set list, but then every other one you can play with 2 DJ controllers on one screen. And that's the same thing as Xbox Live. There's no collaborating, there's no anything.
DJ Yoda. DJ Hero. Here it comes.
It's not as much fun playing by yourself as it is playing with your friends. Even though like the guitar tracks aren't that great, you know, it would be cool if there was some cool bands, but Rock Band is just so much more fun to me. Switch around to like singing, playing the guitar, playing the drums, than it is just playing the turntable.
Unlike Rock Band and Guitar Hero, DJ Hero is definitely a single player game.
Yeah,
it's
and that's something people have to understand. Like it's definitely a single player
game. You wouldn't
game.
bust out DJ Hero for a party filled with people who don't play video games at all. Like we said, the learning curve is extremely hard.
Exactly.
It's extremely high.
It's a hard game. It's a hard game, but
once
it is
again,
rewarding. It is rewarding.
It is rewarding.
In case you didn't know. Yeah, the West Side the West Side Cruise on it.
There's a lot of songs up till you get to like the second half that you start unlocking that are pretty bad, and it's not like in Guitar Hero where if at first I might not like a song and I'll power through and I'll play it a few more times, and because the sequencing becomes so memorable that I actually end up kind of liking the song. It's the songs don't seem to grow on me the same way, just because the songs that I don't like are mashups of bad songs to begin with.
I should mention that I didn't like the first half of the game. Up until you hit the Daft Punk set, like 56 songs into the game. Then you'd be like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. This is great. I wish they put more energy in recruiting artists like Daft Punk, Scratch Perverts, get all those great acts and make remixes throughout the whole game. Don't settle for this crappy songs.
I think that we can all agree Third Eye Blind mixed with Jackson 5, that is the worst song in the game.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about some of our favorite songs, because I know there's some really great mixes in there that I didn't anticipate being good until I played them. I was like, damn, actually Kid Cudi does sound pretty good, like mixed in with Black Eyed Peas song, but it mixes pretty well.
It's definitely the strength of the DJ or the remixer definitely shows the quality of the Daft Punk set. All the Daft Punk set, probably all 8 songs are just brilliant.
Yeah, they're really good.
Especially the ODB mix.
Oh yeah.
Hit me.
With the best, if I sit 10 rhymes that 9 gon' connect. If you ain't from the 1 or 2, I respect, cause I probably just forgot and wrote it strictly from my set. Wu-Tang, man, I love my coming up here, this is where the keys at. Look here.
DJ Jazzy Jeff's playlist is pretty good too.
It is really good.
Cut, no mistakes allowed. Cut, no mistakes allowed. Cause to me, MC, me move the crowd. I made it easy.
DJ AM set when he did Build It to Vote.
Oh yeah.
Poison, that one drum part.
Da 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 da.
Check this out.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, like I said, I actually think that this game turned out a lot better than I thought it would be, and actually, especially if you play it on expert, like I think not quite as much as the drums can teach you to drum on Rock Band, but I think the rhythm that it teaches you, at least in scratching, does transfer a little bit. You know, like the crossfading can work a little bit, the scratching can work a little bit. Any gamer who's used to the rhythm game things can have a good time, because it's definitely not for beginners. I mean, having a lot of multitasking to do in it, but anyone who enjoys rhythm games will definitely enjoy DJ Hero, you know, and especially any people who enjoy like mixing music or listening to, you know, pop music
Or into hip-hop culture.
Or into hip-hop culture will definitely appreciate it.
Target neutralized! UAV recon standing by. UAV online.
When we did the launch lineup, I asked a lot of people, what are you going to do first? Are you going to tear into the single player, or are you going to play the multiplayer first? And almost across the board, multiplayer, jumping right on that immediately.
Tango down. Ready for direction. Show us where you want it.
Multiplayer 100%, but we're planning to talk about it down the line. We're going to start playing a lot more multiplayer games in this next few months once all this big holiday stuff gets out of the way. So for the time being, we're just going to talk about the single player and the Spec Ops mode. They're cool, but they're not why I bought this game.
Did anyone remember the story from the first Modern Warfare?
Just like bits and pieces.
Yeah, I mean, you have people mention characters, and you're like, I think there was a dude named Soap. It's a guy with a funny mustache and some crazy Russian dude, and that's about all I remembered. I remember the set pieces, and I think it seems like they always build a story around the set pieces in the game.
Listen up. This evac site's getting hit.
All call signs. The LZ is under heavy fire. Uncover enemy positions and engage potential targets.
Parts of this game take place in America.
Yeah.
America crumbles, and you are there on the front lines fighting.
Yeah.
The first stage in America happens in like a suburban parking lot with a bunch of fast food places all around.
And when we were playing, we would yell at Burger King, Taco Bell, because they totally nailed the look and feel of like an American shopping center.
Right. Yeah. This game is fast food. A bunch of little bite-sized what ifs. What if some dudes were fighting in that parking lot over across the street from our building? What if there was a World War II style trench battle in front of the White House? Man, that would be amazing, you know? And they do it.
What do you guys think about that beginning level where you're actually in a real country where conflict's going on? After you're in the fire base in Afghanistan, that opening area, how much time did you spend just walking around watching people in that space?
I really liked that space, but it kind of clued me into something that would continue to bug me throughout the course of the game, which is that there's no interact button.
Yeah, basically the only thing you can interact with is you have these two guys playing basketball. So actually I found myself just sitting there watching them play this game of basketball. But if you do walk on the court in between them, the guys will basically yell at you.
Get off the court, dude.
Yes, that's sort of interacting, but it's like so minimal. There's so much personality in the mocapping, in the animations of these people as you're just walking through this space. You feel like a ghost when you can't talk to them at all.
Hey, I need an extra mag for the 240. Got one? Got one?
You go forth into the first real mission after you've kind of made it through the training course, and that mission is really intense, just really crazy. It reminds me totally of Generation Kill. After you've walked through their base and you've gone into battle with them, some part of me thinks that we'd remember the story of the game much more if we just like stayed with that group. They hop back and forth between the different stories as you go through the game, and you're constantly hopping into new characters, and characters that you hop into can die at the end of their sections.
It's sad, you've been desensitized to it. Oh well, I just died again, and I'm another character that I didn't really know who I was, so it really doesn't affect me all that much.
That's what I mean. I feel like what comes to mind is Half-Life Episode 2 at the end when Eli Vance dies. Like, that was a really emotional and moving moment, and it's been set up and foreshadowed, and you don't get to talk as Gordon Freeman, but it still clicks, it still works. And in this game, it jumps around so much, and you just never get a sense of who any of these people are, that I never really connect with the characters. And you know, some part of me wants to say, wow, Infinity Ward, really smart. I mean, they know you're a pawn. They know you're just a piece on the chessboard, and I think that's part of what this game is trying to say.
But it doesn't go far enough.
It's wrapped up in this narrative that, to me, is just not that interesting.
The game's a roller coaster. It's an action movie. It's a Michael Bay extraordinaire with explosions going everywhere. But then you have the scene early in the game where you're undercover in the airport. And the first time I loaded up and did it, I squeezed off a few gunshots and killed a few people and instantly just felt revolted. It was just like, this is disgusting and dirty. Reloaded it and went through the entire sequence basically without firing a shot.
Remember, no rush.
They're just killing people everywhere, which works to varying degrees. It definitely works on the just revulsion. You just feel disgusted by it.
You have no agency in this game except for where your bullets go from your gun. If you choose to not pull the trigger in that scene, I feel like the terrorist should say something to you. They should acknowledge your presence there. It ends in a very kind of climactic sort of way. But it doesn't matter what you've done up to that point in the stage. Nothing. You can never change anything. You cannot change this story at all. And sometimes that doesn't bother me in games, and this one it doesn't. Anyway, that scene would be wholly more powerful if you had the choice of whether or not to go along with it, and then had to deal with the repercussions of whether or not you went through with it. And you know, it could just be a really amazing sequence in a game like, I don't know, like a Deus Ex or something.
But they never really tackle that emotion anywhere else in the game. When you're on American soil, like this invasion's taken place, you never see any civilians. You see civilians in South America, but you never see any civilians here in the US. I think it would have been interesting for them to try to tackle that in a different setting, from even a different perspective.
You're kind of moving your way into a house, and then there's sounds of the battlefield all on the left side of you, and on the right side you hear a sprinkler. I thought this is one of those moments that the game designers wanted you to have, like that, just that weird moment of hearing these two things side by side and knowing that they shouldn't go together. In that way, it's like subtly successful, But yeah, everything about the story feels really, really super heavy-handed. One thing that I think they are really successful at, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it made me really, really, really not ever want to go to war. Never want to be a soldier. At any moment, I could get shot from any direction and die like 1,000 times. And I play a lot of shooters, and I hardly ever feel this way. I don't know why it triggered this exact emotion for me, but especially during the stage that I think most people don't like as much, the favela stage. Number one, you're chasing a guy, so you're told move forward, move forward, move forward. Guys are shooting from the front, from the back, from the sides, every side, and you're being told move, 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 and it's like the most trial and error gameplay in all of the game.
Basically where the level becomes route memorization.
Yeah.
Right. The same guys will spawn in the same spot basically every time. Eventually, when you get in the helicopter, killing guys on top of the World War II Memorial as they're shooting RPGs, and you're strafing along like the Justice Department, and there's like chunks of the building falling off, and then you get shot out of the sky. That whole sequence is just, from an action standpoint, was the high point of the game. Whereas I think from an emotional standpoint, the airpoint sequence was the high point from just a raw base emotion standpoint.
The key thing to remember though is that the core gameplay of this game, especially as far as console FPS goes, the way you interact with the controller and what happens on screen is better here than in any other first-person shooter in my opinion. I just love the way the controls feel. I love running. I love the way that melee impacts work. It still feels just as good as Modern Warfare 1. Their engine is super solid. The graphics are incredible.
It's mass market, and everyone can pick up this game and have fun with it. And I think where it especially shines from like the set pieces from the single player is the Spec Ops mode.
We've had so many kind of new versions of Horde mode coming up in games that this isn't that, you know. It's like separate little kind of bite-sized missions that each have their own objectives, and you can either do them on normal, hardened, or veteran, which depending upon the mission type has totally different implications on what you're playing. You know, sometimes they'll add more enemies, sometimes you're doing a race and so you just have to get there faster. You know, there's all sorts of kind of weird variations to it, and it's really well done.
You have the one where one person's on the top of the AC-130, one person's on the ground. You really have to communicate back and forth where I'm not in position, I can't cover you, hang out, hang down. If I spot someone, I'll let you know enemies are coming towards you, but that's the best you can do in that situation.
The sniper stages for Spec Ops were some of my favorites because I loved that in single player. You have, you team up together and you can pick off groups, I'll take these two guys on the left, you take these two guys on the right, and watch you guys sort of like count down and take them off like at the same time. It was just, I just love doing stuff like that.
Modern Warfare 1 was my favorite console multiplayer game, and I've only played Modern Warfare 2 for online for probably like 5 to 10 hours. It's still new. I'm still seeing new stages I haven't seen yet. It feels really fresh while maintaining everything I loved about the first one, and so I look forward to many, many long nights with that in the future, and that's the reason I bought this game. It had nothing to do with the single player at all, but like I said, I still enjoy it for the most part. It's not my favorite single player experience.
Yeah, I feel almost the exact same way I did at the end of the single player in Call of Duty 4. It was just, a series of hit and miss missions that, had various ranges of intensity and, did some really interesting stuff with cutscenes and escape sequences, and it's over, and now I'm just going to go to multiplayer, and I probably won't really go back to it.
Other than the airport level, which I wish the game had done kind of more of, exploring that kind of emotional aspect of it, it's a base level theme park ride that you'll have a lot of fun with, and unfortunately to some extent you'll kind of forget about it a couple months later.
But you'll still be playing the multiplayer and downloading the new map pack that came out, and so you'll be fine with that. So.
Well, hopefully it's not just new map packs. I want more Spec Ops missions.
Okay.
I will spend money on Spec Ops missions. So you've sold one.
Yep.
Sold
3 actually.
We'll buy them.
Yeah, we get them.
In the dark though, it's like it hurts my eyes a little bit. It's a bit too bright.
It's a little straining a little.
Oh, too dark, dude. Split the difference.
A little bit in the middle.
Halfway.
Right?
Yeah, that's great.
What's going on?
Okay.
Nice.
Changing the colors. Squarespace. Remember, you can change the colors in real time.
Try green. I like green.
Okay, we'll do
Green's
green.
my favorite color.
That's super cool.
Do blue.
Oh, that's
all right.
You guys are changing the color. That's awesome.
I think orange would be really good.
Orange? Yeah.
Really?
Orange bar logo.
How about like an olive or a mauve or something?
Yeah, they move up to like a yellow.
hold it. Go back. Go back.
Dude,
Go back. No, go forward.
Go back to
Right
green.
there.
Yeah,
Go
what
back
if we
to
can make it
green.
do this?
Oh, like a brighter.
Yeah, look at the lights. Look at the color.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely.
Oh, that's good. Squarespace. Squarespace to change your site in real time. Area 5 TV look kinda shitty to me until we put it on the Squarespace. Real time changing of your website. Squarespace does it in real time. If you want the website to look like a disco, hit this shit up, baby. You will see it in real time. Squarespace.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was good talk, guys. Not too bad.
I kind of like that color.
Oh, right there. Perfect.
Looks pretty good.
I like it. All right. Let's do it.
What's going on here?
So we've been here. It's almost 20 minutes after the launch. We're steadily getting people into the store. There's still, surprisingly, there's still people waiting to just get a voucher. They don't even have a copy secured yet, but they're still in line. You know, there's a big ass line all the way down past the Walgreens. And yeah, we're getting some people coming out with PS3 and be like, yeah. Some people coming out with 360, yeah.
I have to say, I've never seen so many people fist bump and do secret handshakes after buying things. I'm gonna do that too, though, with myself. Oh, with you, Jason.
Yeah, PS3. Hell yeah. Yeah. That's that, baby. Yeah. We'll support you. It's cool.